Welcome everyone to the podcast, Crypto Podcast with me, Coach 93, where we talk about pro wrestling, pop culture, and life in general. So for today, we're going to do something different. I will not be doing my normal shows of raw opinion, what's next, the elitist from AMW, and SmackDown sessions. For the meantime, probably I'll do a weekly show regarding those shows, and maybe the highlights and lowlights of those shows. But I'm not going to do those episodes for the meantime. I know I've been doing last episode was last week, I believe, for raw opinion. Then I took a few days rest, was a bit under the weather, taking a lot of issues and things. And but there's something I'm cooking in my mind, and one of those things is to do a WrestleMania episodes. So starting today, we're going to do 40 days of the road to WrestleMania. So this isn't even going. This isn't going to be a normal long episode. Probably 10-15 minutes only for the meantime. But I'll be recording future episodes, but I'll be uploading it daily, so you guys, So talk about basically the history of WrestleMania from WrestleMania 1 to WrestleMania 40, which is last year. I believe WrestleMania was 1985 or 86, so I forgot. Uh, Give me one second. I have my notes. Don't worry. So first ever WrestleMania was in 1985, March 31st, 1985, held at the world's most famous arena in Madison Square Garden in New York City, New York. Um, So yeah, that's it. That's the only official thing. So the minor history of WrestleMania. This is really the peak of of rock and wrestling era, or probably the genesis at the time, because of Vince McMahon purchasing WWA or WWF World Wrestling Federation from his father a few years before WrestleMania for a million or a couple of $1 million because of his mindset that he wanted for wrestling, for pro wrestling to be different. That it's not just territorial, it's not just regional, but it's something else. It's nationwide at the time to go to a global entity, or not even US pop culture, but global pop culture. I mean, right now in the current no setup of the world, I believe they already. I have my scratcher. I believe they already said that the most recognizable face on planet Earth is Dwayne Johnson or The Rock. Everybody knows, mostly everybody know who The Rock is. Half a billion followers on social media. That's something else. But before that, the most recognizable face so far at the time during 1980, the mid 80s were like Mickey Mouse, Superman, and this guy, Hulk Hogan. I mean, even kids of this generation, if they see this guy, or not even my generation, maybe early 2000s, they know who Hulk Hogan is. And, personal opinion wise, call Hulk Hogan whatever you want. Um, he did, along with Vince McMahon, change the industry of professional wrestling. I know Vince McMahon coined the phrase, I'm sorry, of sports entertainment, because it's not just wrestling, it's storytelling that people are still debating until now. What's pro wrestling to what's sports entertainment, or what's storytelling. Even Michael Cole last week said it at best. For WWE is no longer just pro wrestling; it's storytelling. They tell stories. Whether you're inside the ring, whether it's the announcers, whether it's backstage segments, it's storytelling. And as much as even they, or the sickos of AEW, it's still sports entertainment. They tell stories as much as possible. It's not just wrestling matches or moves. And WrestleMania 1 was the epitome. or the startup, the genesis of sports entertainment or storytelling for wrestling as we know it. So, brief. So the story for WrestleMania, like I said, it started with an MTV event of the war to settle the score between Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper. For I believe it was for the WWF World Championship. Something happened, then interference came out, Cindy Lauper, and everything happened. Then they called Mr. T and setting up the main event for WrestleMania, which is the team of Hulk Hogan and actor, really in a way, Hollywood star Mr. T to face off against Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. So WrestleMania is also star-studded because you have Liberace, you have the great Muhammad Ali as a special guest referee for the main event. You have the Rockettes, and you have a lot of celebrities at the time. But yeah, for the matches, I have it set up here. So the first match was Tito Santana versus the Executioner in a singles match. The match was actually 4 minutes and 49 seconds. Second match is King Kong Bundy with Jimmy Hart against Special Delivery Jones in a singles match for 9 seconds. Ricky Steamboat versus the future Doink the Clown, Matt Bourne, in a singles match for 4 minutes and 39 seconds. Fourth match is Brutus Beefcake with Johnny Valiant versus David Sammartino, the son of Bruno Sammartino. That ended in a double disqualification in a singles match with 11 minutes and 43 seconds. Junkyard Dog against Greg the Hammer Valentine with Jimmy Hart. Junkyard Dog JYD won via countout in a singles match for the World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental Championship. So, long story short, Greg Valentine retained in 6 minutes and 55 seconds. The Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov with Freddie Blassie defeated the U.S. Express team of Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo, who were inducted in the Hall of Fame last year, I believe, in a tag team match for the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship. So the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov won in 6 minutes and 55 seconds. And Andre the Giant defeated Big John Studd with Bobby Heenan in a career versus $15,000 body slam challenge. So you need to body slam your opponent to win. Andre the Giant win, obviously. In 5 minutes and 53 seconds. Co-main event is Wendy Richter with Cindy Cindy Lauper. Defeated Leilani Kai with the Fabulous Moolah in a singles match for the World Wrestling Federation Women's Championship in 6 minutes and 14 seconds. And of course, in the ninth and final match and the main event is Hulk Hogan and Mr. T with Jimmy Snuka defeated Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper with Bob Orton in a tag team match with Muhammad Ali as a special guest referee and Pat Patterson also as a special guest referee in 13 minutes and 34 seconds. So those are the matches for WrestleMania. So if you ask me, I don't normally do ratings uh, ratings matches or so I will not rate matches for this one. Obviously, there weren't really that much matches, you know, to be credited as 5-star matches or whatnot. But if I'm going to rate in a 5-star capacity and no more than that, because there's no 6-star or 7 stars general, there's only 5-star general. Um, I'm going to rate this being the inaugural. I mean, as a spectacle for a wrestling event, I'm going to rate this as like a strong 3.5. Why? Out of 5 stars. Why? Like I said, this is the startup, the genesis of sports entertainment as we know it. Uh, I remember my dad renting a Betamax from our normal local video store back then. So he rented like WrestleMania 1. So I believe I even saw WrestleMania 3 or WrestleMania 2 first before WrestleMania 1. Um, and that this actually this events WrestleMania 2 and 1, this really opened my eyes as my startup for the fandom of professional wrestling or sports entertainment, whatever you call it. Like I said, it might be weird, but I grew up as a Hulkamaniac before I transitioned to Shawn Michaels. So I was a Hulkamaniac first before being member of the Click or the Generation X fandom. But everything need to have that start or genesis, like I said, the start or the beginning. And WrestleMania right now, it's been on for 40 years, 41 this year. So imagine that. That's the longevity of this event. Vince McMahon, like I said, call him whatever you are, whatever he is personally, it's your opinion. But perception of what he did for professional wrestling, he did wonders. There's no WCW, there's no ECW, there's no AEW even without WWF or WWE being globally known. And this is the startup. And like I said, it's a spectacle. At the time, if you're, prior to the road to WrestleMania, there's no like a highlight match or feature match that it's going to be like a 5-star match or whatnot. Not yet, but it grows as the evolution of the business of professional wrestling grows and develops. And Vince McMahon put everything. If you saw the Mr. McMahon documentary on Netflix, he said that for WrestleMania 1, they pawned their house, they put it in collateral, everything from their business, just to rent out Madison Square Garden and movie theaters for closed circuit television or closed circuit viewing, which is a precursor to pay per view. I mean, you go to a theater and watch it there. That's how normally they do before the pay per view business in everywhere, especially in the states. So, and like Vince McMahon even said, if they fail or if WrestleMania failed, then everything is they're going bankrupt. But obviously, it was a success. I mean, I believe there's like 10,000 people there in Madison Square Garden at the time. Still, it was a success. Fair, closed circuit television, and it made rock and wrestling at the time the biggest thing in professional wrestling. So, if you ask me, this global event, or at least at the time, a nationwide event, start was the start or the beginning of professional wrestling as we know it right now. And yep, I can't wait to discuss other WrestleManias with you guys. So, like I said, this won't be a long podcast. Just like for 15 minutes, 10 minutes to 15 minutes, as we can try and do it. And yeah, so join me as we go back with history in a way for 40 days for the road to the road to WrestleMania 41. So thank you guys. This is Coach 23. You're watching Podcast Crypto Podcast, where we talk pro wrestling, pop culture, and life in general. So thank you guys, and see you soon.